Hello and welcome to Retro Boys Gaming. Hi, it's Retro Wimp. Today what I wanted to talk about was an idea I had, and it's a fairly simple idea. Really, it's Nintendo's coming out with a brand new system. If you don't know, they're going to have a new system out, they're saying next March. The system is called the Nintendo NX right now. And the last Nintendo system failed pretty miserably. It was GameCube epic failure from a sales perspective, from a money generating perspective. It did not do what Nintendo needed it to do. It Nintendon't, to coin an old Sega term from the 90s. So what I was thinking was, why doesn't Nintendo, with the popularity of Pokemon Go, they've got raving new fans, put Pokemon in space? And this is a real simple concept. It's basically going to Hello Games, like they did with Niantic, and putting Pokemon in a game that already exists, which is exactly what Pokemon Go is. For anyone who doesn't know, it was a game that was already, all the Pokestops in the game and the gyms were already made in a different game. And when Pokemon guys saw it, they thought, hey, we could turn this into a great Pokemon game, and sure enough, they turned it into a pretty glitchy Pokemon game that has captured the hearts of millions. So, and including myself, I play Pokemon Go all the time with a little guy. And my thought here was, you take the Pokemon, you go to Hello Games, and you have Pokemon in space. You call it Pokemon Universe. This benefits Nintendo, of course, because it's going to sell NX systems, because Nintendo doesn't put out their games, other than Pokemon Go, on any other system that they don't own, and they would obviously put this strictly on their own system. It helps Hello Games, because I actually think everybody who's pretty much got No Man's Sky, I'm not saying everybody, I say the vast majority, there'd be a huge percentage that would then go and buy the game a second time, just like people went and bought a second version of Minecraft so that they could get the Mario edition of Minecraft. So really, both sides win with this deal. And it wouldn't be that hard to do. So basically right now, the planets, they automatically are going to have, in No Man's Sky, if you haven't played it yet, there's always going to be some type of a trade base that's put on there. There's going to be some satellite stations that are put on there. And while those are random, it's within the game's code to basically say, put this stuff on every planet. Just, it changes how much of that stuff it puts on. Just like it does for life forms, fauna, and really anything else. The space stations that you see out in space, you know, those, every solar system has a space station somewhere in that solar system. There's always trade routes, there's always traders going back and forth. So these things are already within the game. So basically what they would be adding is, let's say you could start it with 150 Pokemon or 250 Pokemon, or go 500 and whatever Pokemon we're at now. And you can put them into the game, and then you basically, just like Pokemon Go, they're dispersed randomly based on a percentage. When you land on a planet, it could be like a Pokemon tracker and go, hey, this planet, we're sensing these Pokemon on there. And you could do some type of tracking system. Again, you could maybe bring back the feet from Pokemon Go when it first released, and you start walking one direction, and if the feet get shorter, then you're getting closer. But you might have to dig around. You might be standing right on top, and you don't see it, and it's like, oh, maybe I should mine into the ground and see if there's a cavern underneath here, because it could be in an underground cavern. So there's still lots of exploring to do, and it would give people more reason to explore the space. The more you sort of play the game, the more you realize that the planets don't differ as much as you maybe hoped they would. The game is huge, but even with all the little variations and varieties, it's almost like they made the game so big that you don't see the variety, because it's not a huge jump from, wow, this planet's got massive trees and massive life forms, to this planet has big pools of lava in it. It seems to be a bit of, oh yeah, here's the planet. It's got some mushrooms and some sparse grass, and there's an outpost over there and a save point, and every once in a while you'll find some liquids, and I like the fact that you don't find liquids that often. At least I haven't found them that often, because really liquids is one of the hardest states for anything to be in, because it's basically in between too hot and too cold. And I did hear Sean Murray, who from Hello Games, talking about how players in the game are going to discover planets that, based on where they are or based on what you see as you're approaching them from space, you may say, oh, that's a really rocky planet and it's really hot, so it's going to actually have this mineral, that mineral, and these other things in abundance. Whereas other planets won't have those things in abundance because they have different climates and atmospheres. So you could do the same thing with the Pokemon. Again, you've got like your water type Pokemons that only show up near water on planets that actually have water. So it's all relative, is what I'm trying to say. But you could definitely do this. And think about how much fun it would be to go out on your spaceship. You've got all these trading mechanisms. You still have the mining for resources. And all you're doing is basically throwing in Pokemon. Now, I know people are going to say in the comments, and I really would hope lots of people comment on this idea. And maybe we can get some traction going and get this idea out there. And who knows, maybe someone at Nintendo will pick it up. But I know people were going to say, well, they do have sort of a bit of a Pokemon hunting game within No Man's Sky. If you land on a planet that has life forms on it, it will give you basically 10 things to discover. And as you discover them, you sort of check them off on the list of you've discovered these species. The problem is that they're not fun, they're not cute. Most of them are hideously ugly and odd, which adds to the appeal of the game. But I'm saying for Nintendo and for Hello Games, this would be a great partnership. This would sell a lot of systems for Nintendo, which would be excellent because it just means that they're going to put more money into their first-party games for the system to create a greater library of content for people to get involved with. And then for Hello Games, like I said, I own No Man's Sky. I would buy a second copy for sure. I would buy a second copy for Nintendo and play it all over again just to go hunt Pokemon. And if you added in sort of more of the traditional Pokemon systems of, you know, maybe having a gym on every planet and being able to own those gyms, I think you might actually get that 18 trillion planets filled with people who are actually capturing all those gyms. Could be really cool. You could set up sort of space stations where people do Poke battles, Poke tournaments. Now, obviously, No Man's Sky is still evolving. This is something that you would not see at launch for the NX in any way, shape, or form. This is something that would take years for them to get going and build in. But if they were to start working on this and get this idea going, with all the other additions that No Man's Sky is trying to put into the game, I haven't heard anything else, and they're keeping a tight lip on what they're going to do with it. But I haven't heard anything else that tells me that this would be an impossible thing to do. Really, the only thing that's impossible about it is, one, getting the two parties together. You know, getting Nintendo to go, hey, that's a great idea to sell NXs in 2 years, when it would probably be feasible to have this game come out. And two, having Hello Games go, yeah, we're willing to let Nintendo sort of rebrand our game for their system to appeal to their market, which will in turn help grow Nintendo's market more so than Hello Games, but it does sell them a whole lot of copies. Like, if they've sold 7 million copies of the game so far, I'd say they would easily turn around and sell another 7 million copies, and they're not rebuilding the whole game. I don't even think, you know, just going in, updating the texture packs, if you wanted to, I don't even think you'd need to. I think Pokemon could actually fit really well into it. And the beauty of this is that if you use sort of part of that No Man's Sky engine of taking things and things altering slightly. So you know, you'll see a deer type creature with crab legs and antlers on its head, and, you know, some more extreme variations in No Man's Sky. But what if you were to do that with, say, a Pikachu, but you said that the spots were something that could vary? It could have 3 spots, it could have 2 spots. The ears could vary in length, so it could have longer type rabbit ears. Its face could be a little bit more narrow, or you could get the old cute original Pikachu with the big pudgy face. I think all those things would be really, really fun. And then everybody would really have their own Pokemon. And trading Pokemon within that game would have maybe less to do with how strong it is, how much you've trained it, what battle types it has, because you'd be like, well, I can do all that myself, but what I can't do is go in and find another Pikachu that's got extra long rabbit ears. It wouldn't make it look like it wasn't Pikachu. I don't want to say that it would change the branding, because that's always a concern when you're dealing with a property like Pokemon. But I'm saying it's something to think about. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm just wishful thinking. But I thought it was a pretty cool idea. I'd love to know what everybody else thinks. If anybody watches this video and wants to chime in and tell me their thoughts, that'd be cool. Anyways, I'm going to leave it at that. If anybody enjoys this and wants to talk more about it, maybe I'll do a second follow-up video. And otherwise, it might just die here on the internets. All right. I'm out of here.